This is Corporate Warrior, high-intensity training lifestyle and business with Lawrence Neal, helping you improve your health and physique, become a great personal trainer, and start and grow your hit business.
This episode is brought to you by ARX, the most innovative, efficient, and effective all-in-one exercise machines I have ever seen. I was really impressed with my ARX workout. The intensity and adaptive resistance was unlike anything I've ever experienced. I love how the machine enables you to increase the negative load to fatigue target muscles more quickly, and I love how the workouts are effortlessly quantified. The software tracks maximum force output, rate of work, total amount of work done, and more in front of you on screen, allowing you to compete with your previous performance to give you and your clients real-time motivation. The ARX uses a computer-controlled motor to give you the exact amount of resistance your clients need 100% of the time. This means that the resistance can never become dangerous, is intuitive and simple to use, and can provide you with all of the results you and your clients are looking for in a fraction of the time. ARX is highly effective and efficient in delivering all of the benefits of exercise, including increased strength, muscle mass, cardiovascular conditioning, bone mineral density, and injury recovery. As well as being utilized by many high-intensity trainers to deliver highly effective and efficient workouts to their clients, ARX comes highly recommended by world-class trainers and brands, including Bulletproof, Tony Robbins, and Ben Greenfield Fitness. To find out more about ARX and get $500 off install when you place an order, please go to arxfit.com and mention Corporate Warrior in the How Did You Hear About Us field. So again, to get $500 off install when you order, head on over to arxfit.com and enter Corporate Warrior in the How Did You Hear About Us field. Lawrence Neal here, and welcome back to corporatewarrior.co. My guest today is Richard Wolff. Richard is an entrepreneur, writer, and founder of Med Fitness. And you can find out all about Med Fitness over at medfitnessprogram.com, the company that created on-demand strength training. In this podcast, we focus entirely on how to retain clients in your high-intensity training business. Med Fitness have a very low client attrition rate at 2.2%, which is ridiculously low, especially when you consider that the health club industry attrition is generally over 20%, at least the last time I checked. And that might differ in the high-intensity training niche, but all the same, 2.2% is still incredibly good. And in this podcast, we cover proactive and reactive retention processes, how to measure retention to identify what is working and what is not, how to reacquire lost members, and much, much more. This is a very strategically and tactically rich episode on how to improve retention in your hit business. For the show notes, please go to corporatewarrior.co/retention. And if you are interested in more excellent content on things like how to retain clients, and from the likes of Luke Carlson, who's the CEO of Discover Strength, who have also got an excellent record in terms of retaining clients, please consider joining the membership, which is over at corporatewarrior.co/membership, where there's lots of content on things like sales and marketing, retaining clients, optimizing operations, hiring, etc., monthly Q&As with high-intensity training experts and business experts, community, and much, much more. So if you're interested in that, please go to corporatewarrior.co/membership. And that is a place where I have designed a service to help you grow your high-intensity training business. And now, without any further ado, I give you Richard Wolff. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lawrence. Always a pleasure to be speaking to you. So thanks for having me today.
Always a pleasure, never a chore, as they say.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
No, it's good to talk to you again, and I always really enjoy catching up with you, Richard. So excited to catch up, understand how things are going with you and Med Fitness, and then also talk to you about retention, how to retain clients through getting awesome results, the different process you have around that. So we'll dig into that for a second, but I just wanted to say firstly, well done on the new website. I was having a look the other day. It looks fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I know last time we spoke, we talked about my simple approach to our web design. So I'm trying to stay with that. But in today's world, of course, continual improvement and keeping up with technology is completely necessary. So we felt it was just a necessary next step for our online presence for sure. So yeah. But we're happy with it right now. So yeah.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
I noticed that straight away. I looked and I was like, Richard loves simplicity. And it's like you can see how you've really consolidated certain components of the site. So how long did that take you to get it to where it is?
Well, it took a couple of months. We know that with our website, Lawrence, what we've done is that there's only one thing that matters. I want what we call free trial workouts from people that visit the website. So everything is centered around that and our 3 uniques, and just drilling down on that over and over again. If you read through the pages, you'll get the same message again and again and again. So I'm glad that we've clarified that and really focused it down. So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, I was just literally on the phone a few hours ago with Hannah from Discover Strength, and they've just had their website redone, and we did a whole membership podcast on optimizing a hit website. So I upload that today.
Excellent.
I'll be a bit late for you now, but
well, it's all right. We got a lot from them. Pardon me. We got a lot from them. I'm sorry. We got a lot from Discover Strength at their club industry presentation in Chicago about how to use your website as one of the key tools in your sales process. So that was very useful from Hannah. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. But it's exactly what you said, excuse me. It's focused on driving leads through the free introductory workout. The homepage is literally just has a very clear call to action in the center.
Right.
And it's not until you scroll down that the menu appears, but on every single page, there's a intro workout call to action top right. And like you say, the free uniques. It is, it's worked very well for them, obviously driving through the door. And it seems to be the most effective way to set up your website for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, so obviously, I was, you very kindly did a testimonial for me recently, and I was really pleased to hear how much you've improved the business over the last kind of 12 months or so. Did I get this right? In the video, you mentioned 18% improvement. Is that on revenue, or what is that exactly? Or
that would have been in gross sales. So our earnings, our profits at 18%, which is the strongest year we've ever had. And we've been trending up over the past decade and making incremental improvements. But this was probably, if I compare it to last year, we're probably up about 12.5% from where we were last year. So incrementally moving towards that number. But a very good year for us from that perspective, Lawrence. Yes.
Okay. And what do you think was you mentioned in the video a few things. What do you think were like the key things that you changed in your business to help foster that growth?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest sort of piece of it would be our sales and marketing systems. And so that's really, of course, establishing all those processes so that you're doing something, you've got a focus, an objective, a measurement, an assessment, an adjustment, and you keep repeating based on the data you're getting feedback on, whether it's more of this, less of that, et cetera. So really establishing that process, having the marketing budget, tweaking the timing of when we spend money, how much we spend, I think has been the key driver, so that when we're communicating our message online or in print media, it is super focused and we're really assessing, is this worth it? Do we stop doing this? Do we keep doing it? And so on. So I think that's been the key driver, besides some other things that have supported it in general. So.
Oh, excellent. Well, I'd love to dig into certainly into sales and marketing strategy and tactics with you on another episode for sure. That would be a lot of fun. But on this one, let's focus on retention. So you've obviously by the time this is published, you would have delivered a wonderful presentation, I'm sure, at the, the Resistance Exercise Conference.
Exactly right. Right.
And it's weird to say, like, I'm looking forward to that, but obviously when this is published, it will be after the fact. So it's kind of strange to say that. You've got a presentation we're doing on the 3 keys to retaining clients through results. So do you want to start talking about exactly what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that presentation is going to begin by just acknowledging the fact that, at least here in the United States, and I'm sure it is throughout Europe and so on, that aging and in an aging society, people have come to view sarcopenia as just a normal, necessary part of life. And so we need to just understand that there's people out there getting weak and dysfunctional, and they think, oh, this is just life. This is, you get old, you get weak and dysfunctional. So it's only been the last decade or so that, at least here in the U.S., health agencies have formally said all adults should strength train. It was the Department of Health and Human Services 10 years ago, actually. They issued the first physical activity guidelines for Americans that said all adults should strength train. This was really a call to action because we had never heard that from a health agency before. Then if you go 10 years later, just this past fall, those guidelines were updated and revised, and that recommendation was only strengthened. So you have people thinking it's normal to get weak. You have health agencies around the world saying adults should strength train. And so this has created what we would describe as the strength training gap, simply the difference between what health agencies tell us to do versus what people do. Most adults are not strength trained, as you know, Lawrence. If you look at the different surveys, maybe 8 and 10 are not strength trained. So maybe 20% are consistently strength training. So given that you've got this big gap, we need to sort of recognize, why does it exist? If your doctor says strength train, how come you don't strength train? It's basically the lack of supervision that exists throughout the world. So if you go into a fitness center, you know what to do, of course. You know what to do, how to do it, how to sustain it, how to tweak it, et cetera, how to measure it. The average adult knows nothing about strength training. They're walking into a black hole and they're essentially lost. And so they're clearly not going to get anything out of that. And sooner versus later, they essentially give up. So this we call this the gap. And it really is because there's zero supervision. Unless someone goes to a studio like mine or some of my colleagues, they're basically gambling with what's going to happen. And so it's not surprising to see that so few people strength train, given that this is a complicated process. It's more than just taking a walk. You need professional guidance and supervision to have any chance of sustaining this for the rest of your life. So we're going to present the fact that this gap exists. There's no supervision by and large in fitness environments today. And so the first thing we have to tell our clients is that it exists. You know, if I'm working with you, Lawrence, I want you to know that very few people are strength trained. What you're doing, Lawrence, is super unusual. This is not an ordinary behavior. So this helps me to be clear and urgent when I'm coaching you about maintaining your strength training routine. If everyone was strength training, well, I think I'll leave Richard and I'll just go do it on my own. No, this just doesn't happen in the world at large. So you're part of the solution. You're in this supervised environment. So this is a solution. The real world is the problem. So we want to have them understand that. So we acknowledge that this gap exists and it's very significant. And then from a business standpoint, from a trainer standpoint, the three things that I'm going to talk about that the trainer can do is to number one, always quick correct. So by that, we mean that if you have a client, Lawrence, and they miss a workout or they miss a week or they are traveling and they take a 1 month break from training, get them back to their strength training routine sooner versus later. And the only reason for this is that as they live their life doing other things and they're not strength training, it simply becomes more normal to not strength train because 80% of people aren't doing it. So number one is to always quick correct around maintaining the strength training routine.
How do you do that exactly? How do you actually get them back on the horse early doors?
Yeah. So on an immediate basis, if you're my client and you're not, in our environment, Lawrence, there's no appointment. So it's a little bit unique than appointment-based training. But the process, the principle is still valid. So if you're my client and you haven't been in this week, you're getting a phone call, checking in on you, asking how you're doing, whether or not you can make it in today. So we're not saying, hey, Lawrence, we missed you. Can you get back to your trainings at some point in time? I want you to come to the studio today. So there's a ton of urgency and a timeline that we include as to when we want you back. Now, they might say, can't make it. I got to come tomorrow. Okay, then it is tomorrow. So it's on a short-term basis. It's a call with we call it a by when. Lawrence, you're going to commit to the workout. Great. By when will you make that happen? And so a very clear line in the sand as to when that habit occurs. From a long-term standpoint, as I think I've told you in the past, we do have a lot of people that leave for 1, 2, 3, 4 months into the warm weather out of the Midwest of the United States. So they're gone. We're communicating them with our educational materials, sending them our articles, connecting them through our vlog, and then monthly check-in phone calls to see how they're doing. And when the time is right and they're back home, we're scheduling that first workout. We call that a restart workout. So it just came super tight, maintaining a connection with them, even though they're, on the West Coast or not here in the Midwest and so on. And we found that drastically improves that rate of return, that restart percent. So it's really about connection and simple coaching methodology to get them back into that routine.
Yeah. Do you, when they do travel to the warmer places, do you provide them with any kind of here's some training routines you can do in your hotel or in your summer home? Here's some gyms you could go to. Here's some of our colleagues you could go visit and strength train. Do you do that kind of thing?
Yeah, we absolutely do it. We have just a printed, simple program they can follow. We call it Med Fitness Away from Home. So we adapt what we're doing to sort of a conventional fitness environment and make some small tweaks that give them something really simple and doable that they can follow when they're gone. We've got a video that we put with that. We've got a body weight routine that we do a video for. So real simple things, because the other thing we know, Lawrence, is that if you're going to be gone for 4 months, if you do not strength train for 4 months, the odds of you returning to us go down. We want you to keep living this lifestyle. If you're going to eat like dirt for 4 months, you're not going to come back to me and say, I'm going to eat better. So from a strength train standpoint, we need to treat this health habit the same way we would any other health habit. So I want you to strength train when you're gone. I don't care where you go, but please do it. And here's how to adapt what you're doing here to that environment. Yep.
One clarification I just wanted to make is you talked about giving the client a call the kind of day of their session. Would that be, is that based on the fact that they missed their previous session, or is that just, do you make that call on every single session, every single appointment?
We don't. Yeah, we make that. It's a little bit individual. It's not every session, but between a 7 to 14 day period is where we're assessing based on what we know about them. You might have told me, Richard, I'm going to be gone traveling, so maybe I know you're gone, so I don't need to call you. But if I haven't seen you and it's more than a week and you should be in for that next workout, we call it an attendance support call. And we want to be super supportive. We don't want it to be a beat down. We want it to be a very supportive connection to say, hey, we miss you, Lawrence. Are you okay? Can you make it in today? And they understand. People that get the call, they know they're trying to avoid those calls because they don't want us to call them. Even though it's a support. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. What software or systems do you use to actually remind you to do that? How do you process that?
Boy, I'll tell you what, we're almost doing it all by hand. Yeah. So what's happening is when you come into workout, your trainer is logging your workout into some software, which will spit out our attendance data as often as we want it to. So we're doing that weekly. So it spits out the attendance report, and then my general manager is simply making calls on the low attenders, right, that she didn't hear from, that aren't gone or something like that. So that data goes in on every shift, but then she just spits it out and says, okay, I got 6 calls to make today. I'm going to reach out to these people. So not super complicated, but yeah.
Yeah. I suppose not enormous volume of calls either. It's not like she has to make 20 or 30 calls. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
What does your team look like at the moment? How many in your team there at Med Fitness?
Well, our team is the smallest it's ever been. It's 4 trainers. That includes myself and Joanne, my wife, who's our general manager. So it's small, but right now, if you were to ask Joanne, she'd say this is the best team we've ever had. Their skills, their experience, their commitment, shared values are stronger than anything that we've ever had. So in some cases, as you know, sometimes smaller is better if you're getting more quality out of your trainers.
Absolutely.
So we feel like we've got a super strong team, even though it is only 4 of us right now. Yeah. So
no, that's great. I was really Patty Durrell and Patty and Dave really hammered that home to me actually when I interviewed them on the podcast a while back. Just explained to me how important it is to hold fire on, excuse the pun, on a new hire unless it's the right fit, and really doing your due diligence on that. And they kind of walked through, I suppose, part of their hiring process in that podcast, but. As you know, Luke did a wonderful podcast in the membership on the entire Discover Strength hiring process, which is just, I mean, if you want to be thorough, that's the way to do it. And I know for a fact that other colleagues like Skylar and I want to say, Owen, actually, because he was on the podcast recently, could vouch for doing the same. So they spent a ton of time and they found great people doing that. So that's really interesting. Okay, so you've talked about the phone call, the kind of proactive phone call. That's really cool. Have we done number 2 or are we now on number 2?
No. Okay. We're now on number 2. So after we embrace that quick correct process, we want to always reinforce attendance. So this simply means when they show up, when you see them, you always want to be reinforcing them, acknowledging that they made it in, thanking them for being there, praising the fact that they're here to work hard again. And the reason for this is simple, Lawrence. It's behavioral psychology 101. Humans repeat behaviors that are reinforced. So if you can reinforce the right behavior, and of course the right behavior is to show up consistently for the rest of your life, you reinforce that, it exponentially increases the likelihood they'll continue to show up week after week after week. So we always want to be praising, acknowledging, giving positive feedback to reinforce them, and even sometimes doing what we call the why not, which simply means talk to them about the flip side. If you came in for a workout, Lawrence, and you're telling me that, oh, for heaven's sakes, I'm tired, I'm so busy, I should have skipped this workout today. That's a good why not. Lawrence, I understand you're busy. I know that you've got this big project at work. I know that this has happened with the family. God, I really appreciate the fact that you came in despite all those challenges in your life. So just acknowledging the why not and the fact that they're there can help strengthen that partnership that you have with them, because they're much more likely to continue with that habit, with that level of reinforcement. So yeah.
So could you, I mean, you've talked about it quite a bit there, but could you elaborate on how you might deliver that? Would it be when they first walk through the door? Would it be after the workout? Like how do you execute that in practice?
Right. Yeah. It's sort of woven throughout the workout, Lawrence. So the moment you walk in the door, we have what we call the 10-second rule. The trainer's commitment is to get up to the front of the studio, welcome that client within 10 seconds, of course, using their name, smiling, welcoming them. I think Luke calls it a warm welcome. You really are trying to get them to feel like they made a good decision coming to Med Fitness today, despite all the craziness in their day. So the first 10-second rule to execute on that connection real quick. And it doesn't have to be 10 seconds. It might be 12, but it's quickly. I don't want them waiting up there for us to, Lawrence is here. I better help them. So quick connection. And then even throughout the workout, as they're doing things and they're working hard and we're challenging them through that workout, you can always reinforce what we describe as workout skills. So this would be, in general terms, it's their form, it's their speed, their range of motion, their transitions, all the things that make up good form. So if I see you doing really well on a skill that you have been not so good at in the past, that's a huge opportunity to give you, again, positive, immediate feedback, reinforcing that you're doing something that is relevant and useful. So during the workout, we're giving them feedback on that. And then at the end of the workout, we're typically giving them feedback on what happened from a progression standpoint. So another chance to say, Lawrence, we've gone up 100 pounds on this exercise in the last 4 months. This is phenomenal. You're now doing this weight on this and so on. So all things that really make them feel good about the fact that they came in despite the crazy lifestyle, despite the work stress, despite everything else. And so really giving them a feeling that when they leave, they're thinking back about, well, this was a good decision to come to MedFit to say, no matter what's going on in life. And we know everyone has craziness. It's just part of humanity today. So we don't want them negotiating, thinking, I tolerated getting there. Oh, geez, let me leave and just see what happens. No, I want them to really recognize that this was a good decision in their lifestyle. Yes.
There's a real sort of sense of discipline around that and around delivering on that process.
Yes.
To obviously, make that, it reminds me of what Michelle Seeger said around how important it is to feel a positive association with what you're doing. It can't just be those six-pack abs. Because for some people, that's a pipe dream.
It is, yeah. Right.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. Okay, great. Yeah. So what's the third pillar of this then?
And number 3 is to acknowledge their hard work. So you and I and our colleagues throughout the world, we're insulated from this, Lawrence. We like to work hard. We like to be uncomfortable. We like the process of training. We like to study it. We like to talk about it. We like to split hairs. We love all this stuff. We're obsessed with it. The average human is the opposite of that. For them, doing a workout, we have to remember, doing a workout is like walking on Mars. My parents, your parents, when they grew up, no one ever said to them, hey, you're at the end of your workday, you need to go into this small room, work like a dog, sweat, breathe hard, be uncomfortable, and then keep repeating it, and then pay that person for that process. They would have said, you're nuts. I'm never going to do that. That doesn't make sense. But now we know this is a necessary piece of lifestyle medicine. So we just want to acknowledge that we're different than our clients. And Lawrence, I know you came in today. So anytime you're working hard, whether it's in the exercise, the discomfort of the muscle burn, whether it's at the end of the exercise, I'm giving you a ton of praise because I know how hard it is. And I know it would be easy to not stretch yourself. Now, why? What is this sort of acknowledgement of hard work doing? They need to know that we're on their side. They need to know that Lawrence is pulling for me, that I'm pulling for Lawrence. I'm there on your behalf. And so the more they believe that I'm there for them, the more likely they are, again, to repeat that behavior and stay with that behavior over time. I mean, think about it, Lawrence. The average client, you might get, if you survey 10 people on the street, maybe you'll get half of them to know that high intensity training is kind of popular in fitness these days. So the last thing we want is our client does a workout and they say, man, these guys are just putting me through this bone crushing workout. I guess high intensity training is just popular. So this beat down is just because it's popular. It's not a beat down because it's popular. It's because I'm on your side and I want you to do well. So you have to really appreciate the hard work that they're doing. And don't ever forget, they are very different than we are. Very different. I mean, if I look at my average client, they walk in the door at age 60, they've never touched a weight or thought about it in their life. So I can't compare them to Richard Wolff. I have to appreciate where they are and continue to acknowledge the sweat equity they're putting into the workout to bring urgency to that process. Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, ARX. Are you looking to create a cutting-edge, high-intensity training facility? Are you confused on what equipment to use or how to separate yourself from the masses? Well, then ARX Fit might be the answer you're looking for. I asked Mike Polano from ARX a few questions about how ARX machines are challenging the status quo of the exercise industry around the globe. Mike, if you could, give the listeners a quick summary of why ARX is so different from the traditional machines or tools they're used to seeing in most exercise facilities.
ARX is totally different than anything you've seen before. This isn't just another weight stack machine. We've looked at the last 40 years of exercise technology and used that knowledge to create something entirely new. ARX uses a new form of resistance, a motor, and we pair that motor with computer software so that we can maximize the safety, effectiveness, and efficiency of your workouts. So you may be asking, okay, but how does ARX compare to weights? Traditional machines you see in gyms today are based on lifting metal weights and battling gravity. What people don't realize is that when you're forced to lift a static weight like this, one that doesn't adapt or change while you use it, you're underloading yourself rep after rep. And this unnecessarily limits your ability to make improvements. With ARX, we've taken a totally different approach. We removed weights and gravity from the equation altogether. Instead, ARX combines our patented motorized resistance with our custom computer software to provide you with the world's safest, most effective, and most quantified form of resistance training ever. When you train with ARX, you are training to your perfect level of resistance, both positively and negatively 100% of the time. No more guessing what weight to use. ARX does all of that for you, instantly and automatically. We'll also track and measure every second of every rep, so you can quantify all of your workouts to find out if you're improving and by exactly how much. Whether your goals are bigger muscles, increased strength, stronger bones, or just to look good in a bathing suit, ARX can help you achieve all of these and more, but do so in a fraction of the time it would take compared to traditional equipment. If you're looking for the most efficient, most effective, and most quantified piece of exercise equipment on the market today, then look no further than ARX.
Thanks, Mike. That all sounds really impressive. If you'd like to learn more about ARX, visit arxfit.com and mention that you heard about ARX on the Corporate Warrior podcast to receive an exclusive deal of $500 off shipping and installation off your ARX machines. Do you think that's sometimes why new hit business owners get a little bit disenchanted by this? Because they're like you and I, they're weird and they're outliers, and they think they're going to train athletes or people that are super enthusiastic about this. And by all means, there's a number of different target markets you could go after, but, it would seem where I'm standing that those that are successful in high intensity training are working with the older population, the seniors,
that's right,
and the busy professionals, and those seem to be where the money is.
Ironically, you're right. Yeah.
So it's, and I'm sure there are exceptions. I'm sure there are firms out there that have a good cohort of athletes or people that are really enthusiastic about this stuff. But I would imagine they're few and far, based on what I know.
Yes. I would agree too. I mean, listen, I started doing this in 1983 at the YMCA. So 30 whatever years that is, Lawrence, I would agree completely. The true promise of strength training is using it as lifestyle medicine to improve the quality of life. I mean, we got in it because we wanted big biceps, but today the true promise is in fighting chronic illness and allowing people to enjoy long, fruitful, vital life. So I would agree completely. Those are the successful businesses. I think Luke said at one of his conferences, he talked about the fact that some coach early in his career said to him, listen, it's easy to work with a handful of athletes that are highly motivated. Anyone can do it, but can you work with someone who is different, never trained, deconditioned, and wants to live better? That's the true mark of a world-class trainer, in my opinion, in today's world. So, yeah,
well said. So, going back to the retention processes quickly, you talked about you have almost a reactive retention process in terms of that phone call that you schedule based on a client's attendance. Do you also have a proactive process as well? Do you do things? I know that, for instance, Discover Strength I can't remember what it is now off the top of my head, but they have maybe an interview or they ask some questions. I think they try and get feedback early on so that they can almost anticipate a reason why a client might not stick around. So do you do anything like that from a proactive point of view?
We do. When people start with us, we call it getting a strong start. And this just is a reflection of all the lifestyle medicine literature that says if you're adopting a new health habit, let's say you're going to try to improve your eating habits, and you say, here's how I'm doing. I'm going to improve my eating habits. People that do better, people that get a strong start, that are more compliant with the to-dos early on in the first 30 days or so, do better up to 5 years later. We see this across lifestyle health habits. So exercise is no different. If you're going to exercise and you say, I want these benefits, if I can get you attending consistently every week and progressing and physically feeling the benefits of the workout and getting better at your workout skills, that's all very reinforcing. That builds what we call momentum. People with momentum 30 plus days out are much more likely to be on track up to a year out in our data. And you can look even longer if you just look at the lifestyle medicine in general. So we try to get that strong start. And then every opportunity, and again, we've learned this from Discover Strength, every opportunity to reinforce them and give them more reasons to quote unquote get it is, of course, the monthly seminar, the monthly articles we write, the podcast that is soon to be released, and so on. Those are all touch points to reinforce their decision of being at Med Fitness and giving them a productive experience. Now, I think Discover Strength is doing just a little more than we do. There's probably some things we could add to be more preemptive with some feedback, but those are some of the things that we're doing to help build that positive momentum with those habits. Yeah.
That's great. Now, you just reminded me, this is obviously relevant to retention as well, last time you were on the podcast, we spoke about your YouTube channel, and you do a daily YouTube vlog called Train Like a Champion, which you've been doing forever now, haven't you?
Yeah, it's about
dominates my internet.
Good.
You're like Gary Vaynerchuk, even more ubiquitous than Gary V. And I remember saying to you, I said, Richard, great videos, you're excellent on video, but with the greatest respect, they don't seem to be getting a large number of views per video. And you were saying to me, well, that's not the point, Lawrence. The point is, and my clients absolutely love these videos. And they look forward to them and they actually watch them. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. Because I forget that you don't need a large number of people to have a profitable, high intensity training business. I think people forget that, I mean, if you don't mind asking, how many clients do you guys have roughly?
We have a couple hundred clients that we work with. And we believe that our cap for giving our physical facility is probably just, 225 or something like that. So we're not far from our cap for that facility. So yeah.
What sort of square footage is that roughly?
It's about 2,000 square feet. So yeah.
I mean, it's not thousands though, is it? I don't know.
No.
I think people have this kind of, fantasy that they need, or not fantasy, but huge goal of I require thousands of customers in order to make this business work, but you really don't, and that's why there is so much opportunity for more businesses like this. And anyway, so I was intrigued by that, and I've been doing some mini videos myself, which have been inspired by you.
I love them. I've seen them. You're good, Lark. You're good. Believe me.
I mean, I'm getting there. I practice a ton. I was terrible at first, and I'm really bad at the actual production part of it. The lighting and all that. But it's a work in progress.
Again.
But no. I mean, obviously, it's going back to your podcast. It's an excellent way to contribute towards retention, because you are educating your client base on why what you're doing is enormously valuable, why they should keep coming back. And I just wanted to highlight the fact that one can do a video blog, one can do a written blog. You could do a podcast like you're going to be doing soon eventually.
Yep, right, exactly right.
And if you've got the staff or the interest, you could do all three. But maybe. Because it depends on, I guess, every individual has a different preferred learning style, right? So is that why you're going to do the podcast? Like you're hitting all three mediums?
Well, we're hitting all three, and in my experience, for me, it's easy to speak. So why not do a podcast? I'm not afraid of it. I've been speaking for 3 decades, so why not do the audio side of it? Yeah, I think it's just another tool that can help us for those folks that like to listen to things. Right.
Yeah. And we talked about this before, but you've got so much content you could repurpose.
Yeah.
I mean, all you have to do is strip the audio out of all of your Train Like a Champions or your longer presentations, and boom, you've got an enormous archive of content. So for everyone listening to this, if you have a written blog that is designed for the same purpose, and you want to turn that into a podcast, you can simply read the posts. I mean, it might be a bit more effective to read them and maybe improvise and make it a little bit more entertaining rather than droning on reading a blog post. But that's something you can do. And you can do the same for a video. So you can take this content and turn it into 3 different things, which is pretty cool and I guess effective towards helping retain customers.
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk to you a bit about measuring retention.
Mhm.
But before I get into
Yeah.
that, how have you got any other, I guess, thoughts about things that have been effective for you for retaining clients?
Well, I think, Lawrence, from sort of a totality standpoint, everything that's happening that we do or that we will do in the future is really a function of the fact that we're trying to make their life better. So if I'm honest with myself and you come in and train with me, I know we call it a forever behavior. This is a forever behavior. So I know that the longer you do this, the bigger the benefits get, especially as you're aging and getting later on in life. I mean, it's just life-changing benefits. So we are very much internally driven and inspired to execute on this vision of ours, which is to make life better. That's our core purpose, which is just to make life better. I just want your life to be better. So it's that excitement that sort of fuels all the minutia and the things we do and the new things that we haven't done yet and the thinking and the process and everything. And so when we talk about customer experience, we call that the Med Fitness experience. Even if you come in to cancel, Lawrence, I want that to be a positive, fond memory so that you have only good things to say about Med Fitness, even when you're coming in to cancel. We want to treat you like you are the king of England when you come in to cancel. So I think all of those sort of work collectively together to support retention and then coming back, restarting at a later date too. So, yeah.
Really inspiring. Actually, I find that inspiring in terms of how I would handle cancellations in my own business. So that's really interesting to hear. Okay, so going back to retention, I mean, it's I've learned from Luke that it's quite a difficult thing to measure. I mean, you've got a fair number of hit entrepreneurs out there who will say, "Oh, Sally's been with me for 30 years and Jeff's been with me for 40 years," and that's great and that's really impressive. But that's not always representative of kind of like real retention figures across your business. And I just wondered how you, in your business, measure that accurately, if at all, at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's a great question because you need the data to really be empirical. So, on a more immediate level, of course, is just monthly attrition. So I know we talked about that, I think, last time we spoke a little bit. We ended up 2018 with a 2.2% attrition rate per month. So our goal this year is to get it down under 2% a month. So seeing that, knowing what it is, measuring it, talking about it at our team meetings, talking about it at our operation meetings. We do what we call a cancel, hold, review every 7 days with the team. So if you went on hold or if you canceled, we're talking about each of these people. Why? What happened? Could we have prevented it? Is there any to-dos? Is there any insights from this cancel? And now we're following up with, of course, a cancellation letter, asking them for additional feedback as well. So really just assessing that monthly attrition, being on top of it, looking at it, seeing the names, talking about it, why, how, when, et cetera. It brings a clear urgency and consistency to doing everything you can just to keep that as low as possible. So I think that's a big one. We do set year after year goals. So this would be the first year we're striving to get under 2% for the full year per month, in terms of, attrition. 2 years ago, we looked at our average length of membership, and that's not a big metric that we look at all the time, but I was just actually crunching down some data this afternoon I wanted to share with you, and I didn't finish crunching all the numbers down. But 2 years ago, we were about 4.5 years was how long the average client had been with us. And so I think that's higher today. I think it's inched up some. I don't have the exact numbers right at the moment, but that's an important metric that we can keep our eyes on too, to say if we're really committed to making this a forever behavior, we should be holding on to these people very long time periods. So we're looking at that as well. We haven't done a formal survey, formal in my estimation, in terms of assessing net promoter score. But in the last year, we did change our annual customer satisfaction survey that we do and tried to get at that data a little bit. I don't know if it would be considered a true net promoter score as high as we thought it was. I know there's some ranking system to that in terms of how many of your clients would refer you to someone else if you asked them, are people scoring you? I think it's a 9 or a 10. They're a net promoter. If they're below, they're less. So, but we know that almost everyone, high 90s, said they would refer us to their customer or to a family member or friend if asked about us. So that was good feedback. I think we need to continue to tighten that survey process and look at it as objectively as we can. So that's another tool that we've started using. And then attendance, Lawrence. I mean, when we look at attendance, if you want to look at one metric that will predict what's going to happen in businesses like ours, it's whether or not they're showing up. So if your attendance is high, they're experiencing the workout, they're getting the benefits. If attendance dips down, those people are all at risk for cancel. So it's a very preemptive marker. It's telling me what's going to happen before it happens. If my attendance starts dipping, my attrition is going to eventually go up. Because people cancel ultimately. The biggest reason is they're not working out. They're just not making their workouts. So we need that to be as low as possible. So last year we ended up 82% were making it in on a weekly basis to strength train. And so to the best of my knowledge, in a non-appointment based system, that those numbers have never been achieved before, where you don't set appointments, but 82% of the people show up every week to work out. So keeping an eye on those. So, but as we go, I'm sure we'll unearth some additional measurement tools.
Yeah, and that's excellent. I mean, from what I understand, and I watched a presentation by, I think it was Dr. Paul Bedford, who Luke put me onto, who's a retention researcher type of guru, for want of a better word, and has a background in health clubs. And, he was talking about the average retention in, most health clubs is atrocious. I mean, it is really... Attrition is very, very high. And 2.2%, you said, month for month, which is incredible.
Right.
Like that is really, really impressive. I mean, that's just ridiculously higher than the average. So that's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I mean, I had a conversation a few years ago, Lawrence, and I'm not going to mention what the franchise was, but I spoke to a franchise owner of a very popular fitness franchise here in America, and they informed me that their business was closing, and I were asking if we can help them in any way, shape, or form. And this person acknowledged to me that I know, she was mentioning as if I know what this data is. Well, you know what the attendance data is. Only 1% of people show up. My head just about exploded in that moment. I didn't really say much to her. I said, oh, okay. Well, only 1% of your customers show up. So really, there really isn't much to do then if only 1% are coming in to work out. So I thought, wow, what a candid moment of just bad news, I guess. So
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. So I want to just talk to you very briefly, because we have a few minutes, just to find out, when you lose a member, do you have a process for reacquiring that person? So when they do cancel, a process for that?
Good question. We've just been putting the screws to that process in the last quarter, Lawrence. So I think where we're at right now, what it looks like is if let's say you've been with us for 2 years and you cancel today, what's going to happen? You're going to be put on what we would describe as a top tier client list, and you're going to get information from us each month. As an easy example, it might be our article that we write every month. It could be an invitation to our monthly seminar. So we're still going to reach out to you and keep you informed about what's happening at Med Fitness and all the things, strength training, that we want you to know about. We haven't set the exact cut point for how long we're going to do that. We're thinking somewhere between 6 to 12 months. We'll probably do that with these people. Then after that period, they would move on to a prospect database where they're getting information from us, promotional information, so incentives to come in and sign up and partake in our services. So that's an area that we hadn't been super consistent or strong with. So that's a step in the right direction, but we need to continue to refine that process for sure. Because the answer. If they've been with us before, it's so much easier to get them back than to find someone new. So yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. And you make me think like there's so much more room to do podcasts on software.
Yeah.
Because it makes this stuff so much easier. And I feel like I've got plans to get on some of the founders or senior executives for various software packages that we use in high intensity training to talk about how to use them effectively and why they can be very helpful. And just listening to you there, it's a great approach to, move that person over to a tier 2 list and then eventually onto a prospect list over a certain amount of time. And, again, you probably need some kind of email service provider in order to be able to do that effectively and efficiently. Because to manually do it would be a nightmare. So what are you using for that at the moment in your business?
Yeah, we use Constant Contact. So I think that it's meeting our needs at this point in time. And you were the one that suggested, and we've been doing it for a while now, is that we should communicate weekly to them. We're doing twice a month. We didn't want to overkill, but if they're qualified customers and they like what we have to give them, we should do it weekly. So we've done that. We've shifted to weekly, and I think that's good. It gives us a chance to share a lot of relevant information with them. So
that's interesting. So when you did that, what happened? Did you get a better open rate, or was it the same open rate?
Yeah.
Did you get anyone unsubscribe, or is it because you were worried about irritating them, right?
I was, yeah. We didn't see any of the unsubscriber issues that I was afraid of. None of it. And the open rate has been just a little bit higher, actually. So it has improved some. Yeah. We're still trying to refine that and see how we can bump those numbers. But it wasn't the kickback that I thought we would get. It made sense when you told me about it. I said, well, he's right. Why are we holding off? This is good customers, relevant, useful information. We're not throwing junk at them. This is constructive information for them to, live a better life. So
that's it. Like if you were selling stuff, then that would be different. And I think it's a very personal thing. It's knowing your customer base. And obviously if you got a bad reaction to increasing the frequency, then you can always go back to what you were doing. But I did think it would be an issue, and it's really interesting. And I'm pleased that it's been effective for you.
Yeah.
Richard, this has been a lot of fun as always, rich with lots of tactical and strategic information on how our colleagues can improve retention in their businesses. So I'm really grateful, and I just think I have such a fun job, doing this stuff. So what is there any parting thoughts you've got about this, or do you feel like you've unloaded your brain on the subject of retention?
I think it's just the one thing that sort of summarizes it all is that our commitment as practitioners should be to make this a lifestyle. So you hear me use that soundbite a lot, the strength training lifestyle. It's a relevant health habit that just gets woven into the rest of your life. So that's really what we're up to here. And everyone should be doing that. Anyone who cares about people aging in our society should be doing the same. So it's about positioning it as a forever behavior and just supporting the lifestyle in an ongoing way. And if we're doing that, we're making a gargantuan contribution to humanity. So,
yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes this can make this a very fulfilling career and business to pursue. Richard, best way for the listeners to find out more about you?
Yeah, they can find out more about me at medfitnessprogram.com. They can also find out a lot about me on YouTube at MedFitness, and they'll find my Train Like a Champion vlog there. We do push it across all of our channels, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, but I think everything is camped out at YouTube, so they can become a subscriber there if they want to see those daily videos and really get insights that they can then apply to their own methods and their own businesses as well. So,
just on that, what are you using to schedule content? Because are you using Buffer or software like that to schedule it all? Or distribute it all, I should say.
You know what I do, Lawrence? It's super simple. It's probably a little bit archaic. I post on Twitter. So I open up Twitter and I post my initial video to Twitter. That saves it to my phone. I go to my phone. I use iMovies to edit it, to change the color, to put copy in there. Then from iMovies, I push it to Instagram. Then I put it to Facebook. Then I upload it to YouTube for the finishing touches. So yeah, so it's a little bit of might not be as high tech as some other people are doing these days, but it works pretty well for me. It doesn't take a lot of time. So
yeah, no, that's fine. The reason I ask is because on LinkedIn, this is a little bit nitpicking, but I've noticed that the video doesn't. I don't think your videos on LinkedIn start automatically. You have to click them, which sounds silly, but if they don't play, I think the consumption is going to be a lot less. And I know from my experience that if you upload, and just for the record, I really have an aversion to social media, so please don't think that I'm obsessed with this stuff. I much prefer doing the important work. But anyway, that aside, so if you upload to LinkedIn natively, with a video, it will play automatically. But if you do it via Buffer, I've noticed, it will be a still image that you have to click the play button. Which sounds like a tiny thing, but it's it will affect the check it, give it a go.
Absolutely. I mean, I do that on Facebook and it makes a huge difference. So I'm sure it works on LinkedIn too. If you put YouTube on Facebook, nobody looks at it. But if I go directly to Facebook, it gets a lot more activity and views. Yeah.
That'd be probably the same concept across LinkedIn. I mean, you know, the reason I probably have such an aversion to social media, aside from the fact that it is very distracting and, in my opinion, destructive if abused for mental health. It's because I can't keep up with it. I think that's the truth of it.
That's right.
But you know, there's no denying that it can be used very effectively for connecting with your customers and for marketing. It's just about being smart with it and not letting it kind of use you, I think, is the key. But that's for another day. We'll definitely have to cover that one for another one.
Yeah.
But Richard, thanks so much for joining me today.
My pleasure, Lawrence.
You're welcome. And sorry, go on.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate you inviting me in. So appreciate it.
You're welcome. And for everyone listening, to get the show notes for this one, please go to corporatewarrior.co/medfitness. Actually, no, we're going to do /retention. That'll be better. And for all episodes, please go to corporatewarrior.co/podcast. And until next time, thank you very much for listening.
Discover how to improve health, become a great personal trainer, and build a successful high-intensity strength training business. Check out corporatewarrior.co. corporatewarrior.co.
This episode is brought to you by ARX, the most innovative, efficient, and effective all-in-one exercise machines I have ever seen. I was really impressed with my ARX workout. The intensity and adaptive resistance was unlike anything I've ever experienced. I love how the machine enables you to increase the negative load to fatigue target muscles more quickly, and I love how the workouts are effortlessly quantified. The software tracks maximum force output, rate of work, total amount of work done, and more in front of you on screen, allowing you to compete with your previous performance to give you and your clients real-time motivation. The ARX uses a computer-controlled motor to give you the exact amount of resistance your clients need 100% of the time. This means that the resistance can never become dangerous, is intuitive and simple to use, and can provide you with all of the results you and your clients are looking for in a fraction of the time. ARX is highly effective and efficient in delivering all of the benefits of exercise, including increased strength, muscle mass, cardiovascular conditioning, bone mineral density, and injury recovery. As well as being utilized by many high-intensity trainers to deliver highly effective and efficient workouts to their clients, ARX comes highly recommended by world-class trainers and brands, including Bulletproof, Tony Robbins, and Ben Greenfield Fitness. To find out more about ARX and get $500 off install when you place an order, please go to arxfit.com and mention Corporate Warrior and How Did You Hear About Us field. So again, to get $500 off install when you order, head on over to arxfit.com and enter Corporate Warrior and How Did You Hear About Us field.